STEMcx, the Next Generation series, where we interview trailblazers in the field of STEM. My name is Jacob, and this afternoon we are interviewing technology expert and talk host Mario Armstrong. Question one: tell us about your journey into science, technology, engineering, and math, and what is a lifestyle expert?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, thanks so much for having me here, Jacob. This is a really big deal that you all are doing this to really prepare people to change the world and to really believe in the opportunities that are out there that you can create, but that are also waiting for you to be able to shape and change the world. So your generation is the most important generation, in my opinion, right now. So I'm honored to be here. What got me into STEM really, I would say, was curiosity. And curiosity is something that's really important, especially when you may feel like your curiosity is different than others. So in other words, if you have interest that maybe others don't seem to have, that doesn't mean it's not a good interest. It just means that you have curiosity about something that you need to explore. And curiosity is one of those things that even as an adult, I still use to my advantage to this day, because as you get older, you tend to maybe forget that you can be curious and that you can try new things and that you can learn quickly and that you can adapt and adopt and be flexible and make things happen. So I would say curiosity, because I was really interested in how things worked. I really like to understand how television shows were made and what took place, the electronics of how a message could happen over the radio or through the internet or over on TV, and then computers, and just like how did they really work to be able to deliver messages, and how were they empowering us to pursue our passions? Like that was my real connection and curiosity with technology, was how can I use it to achieve something that is important to me or that would bring impact to someone else. And so I think curiosity is the thing that led me into the tech and as well as the media space. And now it's led me into entrepreneurship and really helping people understand how you can build your own businesses or your own company or build your own dreams and your ideas and turn them into something of action. So curiosity has been the thing that's always pushed me. And I would say the title digital lifestyle expert, that's one that we actually came up with. So during the time when I was kind of coming up, there were a lot of tech experts in media, if you will, in the same way that there are like money experts to help you with your finances. There are sports commentators that are talking about sports. And so they're like sports experts. So
Right.
I was kind of one of those people that you would see a lot and hear a lot on the radio and TV, because this is like not pre-internet. Internet was out. I'm not that old, but like it was still really, really big to be on television and be on the radio. Now it's really, really big to be on the internet and TV and radio. So as I was going up and being in media, there were a lot of other tech experts. And so they would have these tech experts come onto different shows and different news programs to educate people about the different things that are happening in technology, whether it was what phone should I buy next, or what features does this phone have over that phone, or what's AI really going to do, or what is engineering really all about, and what's the difference between software engineering and electrical engineering, like explaining to people that were watching TV what these different things that are happening in technology really meant. And we just felt like we needed to build our own brand, which I think is a smart takeaway for all of you to really think about what's your uniqueness, because you can use that as leverage to build your personal brand. And what I mean by that is what are you going to be known for? What's the thing that you're really great at, or what's the thing that really makes you super unique? And that becomes your superpower. So what made me super unique, beyond the color of my skin, because there were very few, I could count them probably on 2 or 3 fingers, people of color that were tech experts in the media. So there's very few of us. But beyond that uniqueness, what also made me unique was the ability to really talk about something that was complex and make it understandable for people that weren't techies. And so once I realized that I could really communicate in a way that could break things down and make it simple for people, that's when I realized, oh, this is more about how we're living and our lifestyle, not just me talking about tech to explain tech. So that's where I said, digital lifestyle expert is a different thing than just a tech expert. The digital lifestyle expert, in my opinion, is one that is thinking about how we live digitally and all the tools and the apps and the different things that we have to live digitally, but how is it impacting our lives? everything from our healthcare, our politics, our sports, to pursuing your passion in entrepreneurship. So I really look at kind of two worlds. I'm looking at the world of how are we living as a society and a culture, and then I'm looking at the digital landscape and what technologies are out there that can be used in a positive way to move things forward.
What has been the hardest part of your journey?
The hardest part of the journey is trusting yourself. One of the hardest parts that I think a lot of young people should really hopefully listen to and pay attention to is that you're not alone. I too have self-doubt. I too was wondering if I was going to be embarrassed by failure. I too was trying to fit in and link up and connect with other people. I too felt like an outcast. I couldn't find my way to link up with the right clique and the right crew of people. So I think trusting yourself is a big one. And then I think another one is, I mentioned the whole importance of leaning into your uniqueness. That's a really, really big takeaway, because usually it's something that we're probably insecure about that makes us very unique. For example, I was just on another interview with another young gentleman, and he said for 15 years of his life, he's in college now, but for 15 years of his life, he was teased and picked on for how he spoke. So he was kind of always reserved. He didn't want to speak a lot because he was afraid of being picked on and bullied. But do you know that I was his 60th podcast interview? And this just happened 2 days ago. I was his 60th podcast interview. In order to do a podcast interview, as you know, Jacob, you have to be able to speak. So the fact that he has been able to get several thousand downloads a month tuning into his podcast for something that he was being picked on and bullied about really shows that if you can work towards that thing that is unique about you, or people pick on you about, and use that as a power, like a superpower for good, and build up the courage to lean into that, you can find that you'll really understand who you are faster and what your purpose can be and what your impact can be. So I'd say one of the hardest things was really trusting myself. Listen to that inner gut. Listen to that inner voice. If that inner voice is telling you you should try something, go do it. Don't worry about fear. Is a term, or failure rather, is a term that really should be replaced with the word learn. So every time you think of the word fail, think of the word learn. So in that case, you never fail if you try something, because you're always learning. So it may not have worked out the way you wanted it to work out, and you may think that that was a failure, but it's like, no, I didn't fail launching that app. I learned some things from launching that app that I will then use for the next thing that I produce or develop or create. So I would just say really trusting yourself. And I would say reading books or sites, following people on IG and on TikTok that are positive, and surrounding yourself with other people that are trying to do things, other people that are trying to do positive stuff, that are trying to take action, was one of the things that made it easier for me. So that it wouldn't be so hard. Once I did find some people that were also wanting to do things, then I found like I found my tribe. I found like I found my clique. And once you find that, it really helps you become who you are, I think, a lot faster, and become more confident in yourself.
You talk a lot about being positive. What advice would you give students like me during the COVID and other difficult tasks?
I mean, this is a really challenging time, and it's a really empowering time. So a lot of people like to look at this COVID situation from a negative lens. And trust me, it is a thing that, look, I've had an aunt and an uncle that have passed away due to COVID. Now, they were not married together. I appreciate that. And so I know that experience actually firsthand of how serious this thing can be. And being quarantined when you're young and you want to get out, especially in the summertime, wearing a mask and all these things that are uncomfortable to have to do, the social distancing, all of these things are really, really important, because this virus is real and people are dying and getting sick from this virus. With that being said, now that we understand the facts, how do we use this time to our advantage? You do things like what you're doing right now, Jacob. Interview people because they're home. interview people that you would like to speak to, find mentors right now, ask them how can they help you plan your career path, how can they help you come up with a summer project, how can they advise you for the next 30 or 60 or 90 days on some ideas or some help that you're looking for. People are accessible more than they've ever been. So if you aren't in IG in the DMs, like DMing people, they don't all have to be blue checks. You can DM people and just say, hey, my name is Jacob. I'm a part of STEMcx, and we're a young generation. That's the next generation trying to change the world. I would love to get 15 minutes with you on the phone to talk about my project, or I would love to get some mentorship from you on this direction. You'll be surprised how many adults really want to give back if you reach out. So I would say, like, an empowering thing to do is to really think about, who would you reach out to? Have you come up with a list of 10 names? Have you come up with people that you would like to reach out to? So I would say that's one. And then I would say, two, this is a chance for you to really think deeply about what you want to do with your life. So you don't have all the distractions right now because we don't have to run around and do sports, and school was being done in a different way, and now we're on summer vacation. And so now you have a little bit more time. And what I really want you all to do at this time is to be proactive. The people that are actually going to win, that come out of this COVID situation, everything that's happening with George Floyd and BLM and racial injustice and inequality, and all of these things are so critical that we take action for whatever it is that interests us. Don't get comfortable sitting around playing video games too long. Don't get comfortable just letting time pass by because you feel like you can't do things that you were used to being able to go do. Find more places online. Look, I'm on Instagram every single day and I go live. So if any of you need mentorship, you can always send me a direct message in Instagram. I'm always available for mentoring. It may take me a day or two, 24 hours or 2 days to get back to you, but I'll get back to you. And so I think seeking out people like me and others, taking action like what you're doing here, like actually doing something valuable and positive with your time, is going to create more results and really give you kind of a portfolio to when someone asks you, well, what did you do last summer? Or what did you do during COVID? And you'll have an answer, and it won't just be, you know, everything changed my life, so I didn't do too much because, you know, things weren't. No, you'll be like, I was involved in this volunteer activity. I was doing this on Instagram. I hosted a Zoom interview series where I met blah, blah, blah. I got some mentorship. Like, you'll be able to list out several things, and that says to someone, oh, wow, this kid is really into wanting to always produce, create, or develop something. He or she always wants to take action. That's somebody I want on my team, or that's somebody I want to be surrounded by.
Is it expensive to get started in all areas of STEAM?
No, it's not expensive. And that's really a great question, because a lot of people look to, well, I don't have the money to launch a podcast, or I don't have the money to create an app, or I don't have the money to come up with some algorithm. Like, these things don't require that much money at all, if they even require money. And there are plenty of resources online from MIT and other places where you can download things that you can start to use already. And so I think, you know, I still get that same question, Jacob, which is kind of ironic. I get that same question from adults. You know, does it cost a lot of money to launch a show? Does it cost a lot of money to create a podcast? Does it cost a lot of money for me to pursue my dream? And the answer is, whether you're young or older, money was always going to be a factor. But here's the thing. One of my buddies, Damon John, who's on Shark Tank, he wrote a book called The Power of Broke. And we were having a conversation, and we talk about his book quite often, about how being broke or not having money can really make you innovative if you really believe in something. And so there's a quote that I say often, that when something is important enough, you have to do it even if the odds are against you. So don't let money become the thing that you're using. Some of us are using it as an excuse. Well, I don't have the money, so I'm just not going to do it. That's an excuse. I'm just giving you tough love right now. That's an excuse. Really, what you need to be saying to yourself is, how do I accomplish what it is I want to do? And how can I use the tools that are available to me now to start? The biggest problem that most people face, young and older, is that they want things to be really good when they start something. Like Jacob, I'm sure when you do this, you want this to be really good. You don't want this to be bad. You want it to look good. But the reality is everybody's first attempt at something never looks good. My first attempt at my radio show and TV show never looked good. Doesn't look anywhere like what it looks like now. Right now, it's on fire, but it didn't look like that. Right now, we got, we got Emmys for like the work that we put into the production and the team and all that stuff. That wasn't there 6 years ago, 7 years ago. So it took work. So I think, it really comes down to looking at what you and your friends have as resources, and then doing the research online by simply starting to Google things for how do I do such and such free? What things can I download for free that can help me with such and such, or asking people. So if you said something to me specific, I'd be able to give you some specific resources. But we cannot let money will always be something that we want more of. And even if I'm talking to someone that's well off and doing really, really well, they still would like to raise money for other things that they would like to do. So don't let money get in the way of your idea. Your idea and how you solve the problem without money is actually way more powerful than if you had money to solve the idea.
Fourth question. What would you say to Black kids who are dealing with the social justice process?
This really touches me deep to the soul. I really want to take a pause just to think about my answer before saying this, because this is just my opinion. And my opinion is that young people, you have so much power. And I really want to emphasize how much power you have. You may not realize the power that you have, but you are a group of people that aren't taking it anymore. Not that they didn't take it anymore in the 50s and the 60s, and not that slaves didn't want to take it either. All I'm saying is there's a different level of awakening right now. And it's all, it's everything, all the things that have happened for centuries continually builds up and builds up and builds up. And now there's this collision. And part of that collision is different in my eyes this time, because the world was at home for a long time and had nothing else to do, where they saw an officer with his knee on George Floyd's neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. And that not only shocked this country, but that shocked the world. I'd never forget when I saw on Instagram George Floyd's daughter on the shoulders, and she was saying, and she was chanting, "My daddy changed the world." Like, I'm getting goosebumps and emotional just thinking about that. She said, "My daddy changed the world." And taking it from someone that has had discrimination against them, taking it from someone that has had opportunities taken away from me based off the color of my skin, or situations where I had a police officer pull a gun on me. Like, literally, I faced down a gun from an officer before, and I've been maced before. So I know that these things actually happen. And it's a real situation in our country. So my call to action for young people like you and those listening is a couple of things. Number one, really understand what it is you would like to do to make an impact. That's the first thing. Do you want to protest? Do you want to volunteer? Do you want to make phone calls? Do you want to create a program? What do you want to do that helps elevate the discussion and helps to reduce the prejudice, the bias, and the racist acts? That would be the first thing. The second thing would be for you to know that there are people that care about your generation, people like me, people like Sandra that runs this program, and all the people that I'm sure work with STEMcx that are adults. There are people that are doing this work because they care so much about you. That's what really drives them. Your output is what drives them. Your potential is what drives them. And their ability to help you shape yourself is what drives them. So we care about you. You're not in this fight alone. We're fighting to make sure that we can make things easier for you. And so we need your help to support certain things. And so take voting seriously when you can and when you become of age to do so. But in the meantime, that doesn't mean that you can't take action, that you can't participate, and that you can't help bridge the gap. One other last thing that I'll say about this is that there are going to be a lot of people that aren't of color that are going to want to ask questions, as they should, because they're trying to get enlightened. They're trying to get educated. Their experiences haven't been the same as ours. And now they're understanding, oh, this isn't just happening to a small group of people. This is really happening to an entire culture. And this is really real. And we as people that aren't of color, we need to do better at listening and at being allies and understanding and being more compassionate, not sympathetic, but being more understanding to the challenges that we have faced and how they can be better allies. And so I really want all of us to have some patience while we're trying to awaken and educate those who want to be awakened. And I think that's a really important point. The minute you find somebody that is curious about your culture or is curious about your life experience, be willing to try to teach and try to educate, especially if they're sincere, especially if they really want to learn and know. Because a lot of people are right now flying blindly because their world is secluded, and now they're being awakened to a whole other part of the world that they didn't think they should contribute or be a part of or have to worry about. And now they recognize that that's not right. And so that's what I would have to say on that. And keep pushing on your beliefs, stand your ground very firm, and be educated on the subjects as much as possible. So, nobody can strip away your education, and nobody can ever strip away your intelligence. So always feel free to put that forward.
Thank you, Mr. Armstrong, for all the great advice, and thank you for joining STEMcx.
All right, then that means we did a good job and you did a great interview. So I appreciate it. Thanks so much. Make sure y'all follow me on Instagram and reach out to me. And I should also say this, Jacob, I got a show on YouTube where there's a lot of great positive advice and information too. So go to YouTube and search Never Settle Show, and you'll see a whole bunch of behind the scenes, also other content there that can help you maybe navigate some of the things in your life as well. And then our website is neversettle.tv. We have some free worksheets on our website that can help you identify your passion, help you overcome fear, help you understand which tech route you should go in. So there's a lot of worksheets and things there too. So Instagram at Mario Armstrong,